Hello and welcome back to the Bookshelf Odyssey. My name is Art, and welcome to my JAJ TBR POP XYZ123. If that made sense to you, you're in better shape than I am. All right, welcome back to the Bookshelf Odyssey. My name is Art, and this is my Jane Austen July TBR or Pile of Possibilities or whatever it might be. I've been late getting to a TBR video, so I thought I would just kind of combine the two with a TBR wrap up. I'm just gonna talk about a few Jane Austen things I've been reading this month. To start things off with this month, I read, or rather listened to, an audiobook of Jane Austen's Letters. I had gotten it on Audible, and offhand I can't remember who was the narrator, but she was really good. I enjoyed her narration, and it really brought Jane Austen's letters to life. She captured some of the sense of her snark and sense of humor that really came through more than just the printed word when it comes to letters. And so I enjoyed that. I was really going to keep things simple this year because, as I've mentioned in countless videos, life has been a little on the nutty side. I just started off with something easy to listen to, and that was great. I really enjoyed her letters. I don't think I've read a collection of Jane Austen letters yet, so that was a lot of fun. But then came the big challenge for me, because this month's group read is Emma, which is my favorite Jane Austen. But I did read it. I think I just read it last year. I can't remember now. It's been relatively recent, within the last year or two, and I wasn't sure I wanted to read it. But the conflict was I wanted to read a book by Alexander McCall Smith. It's a retelling of Emma called Emma, a modern retelling. And one reason this book was, I've been waiting to read this book this month, was I got it autographed by Alexander McCall Smith. I got a chance to meet him. He came to the United States this January, I believe it was, in Council Bluffs, which is about 40 minutes from where I live. It's just outside of Omaha, Nebraska. And I thought it was too good of an opportunity to miss, and it was free, put on by the library there, the Council Bluffs Library. So that was amazing, and it was an amazing experience. I got to meet him, I got my picture taken with him, got to chat for a few minutes. I completely fangirled over him, and it was just truly a highlight. I got Emma autographed because that's my favorite Jane Austen, and I thought since he did a retelling, I would do that, as well as I got the 44 Scotland Street book of his that he wrote. Got that autographed as well. That's my favorite series of his, and really some of my favorite books that he's written. I say all that to tell you how much I love Alexander McCall Smith. So I decided to go with the retelling rather than the original, and I can already hear many of you telling and screaming at me, wanting to revoke my my Jane Austen July members card or something. I don't know, but I went with it, and it pains me to say that book wasn't what I was hoping it would be. If you disconnect it from Jane Austen, from Emma, it is a Alexander McCall Smith story. It's cozy. It talks about Edinburgh. It has charming characters. But as a modern retelling of Jane Austen, or of Emma, I'm not sure it does more than almost at times feels like it just straight up plagiarizes the story in some parts. The only thing he really adds to the story is, from a good portion of the book, you actually get some of the background stories in Emma shown on page. Whereas in Emma, Jane Austen would make reference to things and events that have happened, like Emma's former companion, who becomes Mrs. Weston. I can't think of her name now for some reason. You get more of that story of how she and Mr. Weston met and got married and all that. So that was interesting. But Mr. Knightley was not in the story very much, and he shortened their age gap a bit by a couple of years, but not enough to still make it a significant age gap. And so it made me wonder why even bother in the first place. And she, in the character of Emma herself, I think he does okay with her, and brings her to a modern audience. But there are times where she seems to have more of a spark with Harriet than she does even with Mr. Knightley, partly because Mr. Knightley's hardly in the story. And it makes me wonder, well, why didn't he just write it as really go the modern route and make it so that Harriet and Emma were fell in love? And that might not be what you want in a retelling. And my point is that he dropped these hints that Emma might be having lesbian feelings, but then never really acts on it. So that the whole thing just kind of came across as feeling a bit odd. And apparently this is a book that's in a series of modern retellings of Jane Austen novels by other authors, and Smith was chosen to do Emma, which I think if anyone in the modern time could write comparable to the coziness and the loveliness of Jane Austen, it would be Alexander McCall Smith. But here it just didn't work for me. Although I enjoyed the story on its own right, which is one problem I personally have with retellings, is I keep comparing it to the original and thinking how much better the original is. I had the similar issues with Demon Copperhead, and I have a video on that, which is probably my highest watched video, actually, which is kind of cool. I wish I would have said more intelligent things now that I think about it. Oh well. Anyway, I read that. So am I going to read Emma by Jane Austen to kind of cleanse my palate, as it were? Yes, probably, but I'm going to wait a little while because I don't want to feel like I'm reading the same story over and over again. Even as somebody as brilliant as Jane Austen, I need a break. So I might not get to Emma till later this year, but I do want to read it again this year because I just love that story so much, and there are many great adaptations one can watch as well. And then I wanted to read a nonfiction work about Jane Austen. There are some prompts for Jane Austen July, which I'm sure if you are watching this and you know about Jane Austen July, you know what those prompts are. I'll leave those in the show notes. But I wanted to read a book about her. Another one that I haven't read yet is called Jane Austen, A Brief Life by Fiona Stafford. And as you can see, I got a deal on it at Half Price Books, so that was exciting. But I haven't read that one yet. Here's what the book says it's about. Every devoted reader feels that in some way they know Jane Austen, but how can we make sense of her extraordinary achievements? At a time when most women received so little formal education and none could obtain a place at university, how did Austen come to write novels that have commanded the attention of some of the most brilliant minds ever since? Why were hers the books that Darwin knew by heart and Churchill read during the Blitz? In this graceful introduction to the author's life and works, Fiona Stafford offers a fresh and accessible discussion of Austen's 6 astonishing novels set in the context of their time. So I've read a couple of biographies of Jane Austen already, and I enjoy reading different biographies of my favorite authors. As you can see over there, I have a ton of Dickens biographies and books about him. It looks like, just looking at the chapters here, we have some chapters about her life, and then looks like some chapters looking at the books that she wrote. So this is a short book, not even 200 pages long, I don't think. And this will be what I'll be reading the rest of July. So kind of an abbreviated celebration. There are certainly years in the past that I've gone whole hog and dive deep into Jane Austen. This year I wanted to keep it simple. which I have, and I've enjoyed that. So that's what I have read and hope to be reading. With that, I hope you're having a good Jane Austen July. Let me know what you've been reading, what you've been doing to celebrate. Have you seen any good adaptations yet? Let me know. I particularly love, I know I mention this every year, but for adaptations, I love the 1996 movie version with Gwyneth Paltrow and Jeremy Northam. He's a superb Mr. Knightley. Last year, I think it was, I watched the miniseries with can't think of her name right off the top of my head, or the guy who played Mr. Knightley, but that was good. It was a good miniseries. I love the web series called Emma Approved, and I really like it. Almost as much as I like Clueless, which, if you're listening, if you want to do a modern retelling of Emma or any of Jane Austen, look at that book. Look at that movie. What they did with that movie, and you're on the right track, because that is an excellent adaptation. Yeah, those are some of my favorites, but I talk about them every year, I'm sure. Maybe you're tired of hearing about it. Anyway, tell me your favorite Jane Austen. Tell me what you're reading. What topics do you want to talk about concerning Jane Austen? I'd love to just continue that on in the comments or on some of my social media, so you can find me there. Links are in the show notes here for where you can find me online. And until next time, happy reading and take care.